Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. How are you? Hey, everybody. Hey, Kendria. How are you? How's everyone doing tonight? It's your girl, none other than Pastor BJ Connections, Pastor Brenda G. Jones. God bless you all. Hello, hello, hello. Do me a favor, y'all, as y'all coming in, like and share, like and share. It's Wednesday night, 7 p.m. This is Pastor BJ Connections. This is our live podcast, and we are live. And so, guess what I forgot to do? I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on for a second. Guess what I forgot to do? We are live. Hope everyone has had a great day. Hope you all has had a wonderful day. Yes. Hold on, y'all. All right, so there we go. All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. We thank God for you, and you for being with us on this evening for our podcast. I forgot to chime in on the actual podcast on Podbean. So do me a favor, y'all. If y'all will like and share. If you're on YouTube, then go ahead and subscribe. Hit that bell so you'll know when I'm coming live. And then if you're on Periscope, do the same thing, or like, or whatever they do on Periscope. And then Facebook, y'all know how to do it, like and share. If you're on Podbean and iTunes, God bless you. Hello, we are Pastor BJ Connections, and we are live on tonight with our live podcast. I'm excited. I was looking forward to tonight, y'all. And y'all know this is a really more relaxed atmosphere. This is not Bible study. This is not the breaking of day prayer call, but y'all can join in with that and chime in with that. Breaking of day prayer conference call that's on Wednesday mornings at 6:30 a.m. But tonight we are doing our podcast. We're talking, and we started last week Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. And so we're in a more relaxed atmosphere. I want to hear some feedback. I want y'all to talk back to me because that's what I want y'all to do. All righty. So last week we were talking, well, actually the month of December, we're going to be talking about healing and restoring and empowering women, 5 steps to healing, writing the ending to the story. That's what we're dealing with. I got so much feedback, so many positive feedback on last week when we talked about everything. We got some really, really great positive feedback. And so I'm excited about that. I'm happy about that. And that is also being a blessing to you all. It's being a blessing, and it's helping some of you to realize some things and recognize some things. And so that's a wonderful thing. And so I bless God and I thank God for that. So, all right, share, invite some people, tell them that we are live. Invite some people, tell them that we are live. All right. So chime in. I was just a few seconds late. Y'all that late, y'all. All right, not that late. So again, we're going to be coming from my book right here, Tears Beneath the Mask. Thank you all for those who have supported already, those who have requested and purchased the book already. We're coming out of my book, Tears Beneath the Mask. For those who don't know, this is actually not my first book, believe it or not. This is not my first book. This is actually my second book. We'll have more books to come later, but this is my second book. And we first We first wrote this book back in 2010. That was our first published publication of this book. And then we went ahead, and what happened, the publishing company went out of business. So I no longer could get the print of this book. So I had to change everything. And hey, Keisha Lingo, God bless you. I had to change everything with this. And the first, if you have the original copy of this book, the cover was actually blue with 2 masks on it. And this one is black with 1 mask and some teardrops. I actually designed, I'm going to brag on myself for a second, y'all. I actually designed this cover. I really did. I designed this cover. And so I do a lot of my work. All right. But yeah, so thank you to those who have purchased the book. If you want to purchase the book, you can go up at the top of the video or at the bottom of the video, wherever it's located. And depending on which social media site you're on. Hey, Tay Kelly, God bless you. How are you? So Taylin, I don't know who Taylin is. I'm sorry, I don't know who Taylin is. I'm sorry. I'm talking to someone on YouTube. So God bless you though. Hey, they like auntie. So I got a lot of nieces and nephews, so it's possible. All right. So anyway, but if you would like to purchase the book, you can do so. Go to the link either above or the write up, should I say, either above or below, or wherever it's located at on whatever social media platform you're on, and you can cash app us and you can get the book. Send me your address and we definitely will. Those who have already purchased the book, your books are in the mail. Books are in the mail. All right, so we're going to be coming from our book as well as just talking, because we want to talk, and I want you all to talk back to me. I want you to embrace this journey that you're on. And this journey doesn't have to take long. If you take it, you absorb it, you use it, and you genuinely want to be healed, then guess what? This journey does not have to be long. Hey, Mom, how are you? So next week, guess what, y'all? Next week, step 3, next week, I'm so excited. I have a special guest that's going to be with me. I'm not going to tell it right now, but I have a special guest that's going to be with me, and I'm so excited about it. I am like excited because next week we're going to dive a little deep and then come back up out of it. Okay. So last week, what was our first step? Our first step last week, step one was acknowledging and stop blaming. That was our first step to healing last week, was acknowledging and stop blaming. And guess what? We talked about stop asking the whys. And what do we say about the whys? The whys don't want answers, they want endings, right? That's what we said about whys. Whys want answers. Whys don't want answers, they want endings. That's what we said. So listen, all right, you acknowledge the fact that it happened. You acknowledge the fact that it did take place. You acknowledge the fact that, the trauma happened. They did that to you. They abandoned you. They dropped you. They, abused you. They did whatever they did to you. You know that it happened. Nobody's saying that you don't know that it happened. You know that it happened. You acknowledge the fact that it happened. And I hope some of y'all did your homework from last week, because your homework was that you were supposed to say it out loud, right? You have to call that thing by name, whatever it was, however it was, you got to call it by name. You got to take away its power. You got to take away its power and not be afraid of it, and call that thing by name, because that's how you're going to begin to move forward in your healing. You have to acknowledge it. And then we said, acknowledge and stop blaming. Stop pointing the finger all the time. Like they. Stop pointing that. Stop doing that. Because guess what? We said that blaming keeps you in a self-argument with no resolution. Ooh, right? Blaming keeps you in a self-argument with no resolution. Somebody type that. I'm gonna put this up on a banner, right? Blaming. Do I have it in here? Yeah, no. Blaming keeps you in a self-argument with no resolution. So every time you blame, you're still blaming them, but you're not getting the results that you want. You're not getting the results that you want. So stop blaming. Move on. You acknowledged it. They know what they did. Guess what? People that hurt you know they hurt you. They do. They know they hurt you. All right? They know they do. All right? But they don't want to acknowledge it, but long as you acknowledge it so that you can get your healing and move on. Wise don't want answers. They want endings. Because every time you ask the question why, then it comes up with another question, why? And so they don't want answers. Wise don't want answers. They want endings. Okay? So we said stop blaming and start living. So you were supposed to call that thing. You were supposed to speak that thing. How many of y'all did that? That was here last week. How many of y'all actually took on, whether or not you had to write it out, look at it a couple of times before you actually said it, right? How many of y'all did that? Talk back to me, y'all. Right? How many of y'all actually did the lesson? So, right? Y'all not going to talk back to me. All right. No worries. We're going to move on. All right. So let's begin writing the ending to the story. So we've already begun writing the ending to the story. Now we're about to move forward. I did a pop-up. I did a pop-up on the 4th, right? Last week, the ending part of last week, I did a pop-up. And I wanted to talk about, your hurt and your hurt and your pain is coming from because other people are blaming you for their misfortune in their life. You had nothing to do with the misfortune in their life. You had nothing to do with why they are the way they are and why their life turned out the way that it turned out. You had nothing to do with that, but yet you are the blame. And so we said, don't be the blame of someone else's bondage. Right? Don't be the blame. Good job, Kendria. Good job. It could have been a list of stuff like that you had to acknowledge. It could have been a list of stuff. Whatever it was, you needed to acknowledge it. All right? Don't be the blame for someone else's bondage, for somebody else's pain, for somebody else's misery. That old saying, misery loves company. It does. It really, really does. So don't be the blame for somebody else's misery, somebody else's bondage. Because they're not happy, you're not going to be happy. Because they're not happy, you're going to be sad and depressed and down and all that stuff. No. Nope. Do not be the blame for someone else's bondage. And guess what? Some of us, we feel so guilty because they put so much blame on us. They pointed the finger so much at us that now we live in the shadow of their blame. You just don't want to hurt their feelings. Walking around minefields with them. You don't want to hurt their feelings. Lies. Don't live in the shadow of their blame. Because they jacked up their life. Because they did what they did in their life. Lies. I'm not going to live in your shadow. I'm not going to take on that. That's not mine to carry. All right? That's not mine. So, all right, let's go to step 2. Step 2 tonight. Step 2. Step 2 is sorting through the stuff. Step 2. Sorting through the stuff. Ooh, I'm spelling wrong, y'all. All right. Step 2 is sorting through the stuff. So let's look at our the book. When we sort through the stuff, right? This is our second step to healing. When we sort through the stuff, we're releasing and accepting. We're releasing and accepting. When we're sorting through the stuff, we're releasing through and accepting. Right? We're releasing and accepting. So let's look at the book, right? So in Tears Beneath the Mask, my book, Chapter 3 is where we're going to go to for tonight. Chapter 3. And if you want to read all the details of it, then you have to get the book, because I'm not reading the whole entire book. I'm not reading all the details, all the lines in the book. So you have to get the book if you want the whole details. All right. So chapter 3 is entitled The Basement. That's what it's entitled, The Basement. So it was interesting because, the way God gave it to me. Chapter 1 dealt with the mask. Chapter 2 is the blame. Chapter 3 is the basement. So what about at the beginning of chapter 3, I began to talk about some things that I went through as a child, right? So this book is actually kind of like a journey of my life from my perception and perspective, right? So I start off, I'm gonna read this paragraph real quick. Okay. It says, thinking back is like a puzzle, and you have all the pieces, but the hard part is putting them together. Some are more obvious than others. You sometimes must think back in order to gain your deliverance. You must get to the root of the matter to get delivered from the matter. So oftentimes what happens when we're going through our journey of pain, and we still have not let some things go from our past and our hurts and our wounds, what happened is that we got all these puzzle pieces, because sometimes this is from our childhood, sometimes it's from our teenage years, sometimes the trauma or the situation was so hurtful that we kind of did away with it in the back of our mind. We covered it up. And then what happened is that every now and again, we'll get these glimpses of different things, and we get these little puzzle pieces. We got this piece over here. We got this piece over here. We got this right here, but yet they're not always forming a picture. And so when we begin to think about stuff, we begin to shut down different parts of that part of the pain, that part of the story. We begin to shut it down. So I was saying here that thinking back is like a puzzle, and you have all the pieces, but the hard part is putting everything together. Right? That's why one of the reasons why I told you in step 1 that you have to acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge what happened, because then that way you can start forming a picture, so that way you can really deal with the details of it. Because it's really not the whole story, it's the details that oftentimes get us caught up, that we oftentimes get caught up in. It's the details. Well, they did this, and then they did that, and then it was like this, and then this was this, and then this year went by, and then this happened. It's the details that we get caught up in. Right? And it formulates this huge picture in our lives. So we can't get caught up in the details anymore. We got to get the picture, and we got to deal with the totality of it so that we can come up out of it. So we're releasing and accepting. All right. It's time for us to go down into the basement and sort through the stuff. We got to go down. We got to dig deep down in there and sort through the stuff. Remember, I said you must get to the root of the matter to get delivered from the matter. So you got to get to the root of the matter to get delivered from the matter. All right. So, then I talk about, and this is page 14 of chapter 3. It says, many in the body of Christ find themselves dealing. You don't have to be in the body of Christ. You don't have to always, anybody. All right. Dealing with and operating in this same manner. Bishops, pastors, elders, lay people. It's crazy. How do we effectively serve? How do we effectively praise God and worship God, pretending that life hasn't cut us or wounded us? How do we do that? We put on this mask all the time, pretending that life has not cut us or wounded us, pretending that we don't need deliverance from chains, bondage, insecurity, scars, battle wounds, rapes, incest, molestation, physical abuse, low self-esteem, drugs, prostitution, pimping, and witchcraft. We act like we don't need deliverance from nothing, but there's a whole host of stuff that we're dealing with. And I can go on and on and on. We neglect to call these things by name. Remember, I told you, you got to acknowledge it. We got to acknowledge these things. We neglect to call these things by name. But then what we do, we get in relationships, we get around people, we can't have friends, we destroy relationships. No matter no matter what kind of relationship it is, we destroy relationships. We don't trust nobody. So we can't honestly have a genuine relationship with anybody. We can't have genuine friendship. We got a lot of associates, but we don't have friendships. Because now we don't trust anybody. Right? And then soon as it appears as if somebody is getting close, we sabotage it and we push them away. Whoo, my God. Right? But we're going to the basement. We're going down to the basement so that we can release some things and accept some things. When you begin to release and accept your position, right? When you begin to release and accept what has happened, you can easily move on. You can easily move on. How many of y'all realize that you have been holding on, you have been carrying, you have been babying your pain. You have been keeping it so close to your bosom. This is mine. No, you have gone. I said it last time. You have become comfortable in your pain. You have become comfortable in your trauma. Why? Lies. Get out of it. It does nothing for you. It does not help you. It will never help you. Move. It's time to move on. We're about to sort through some stuff on tonight. We're going to sort through some stuff on tonight. You got to accept the fact that it happened. You have to accept it. Listen, I ain't say you got to like it, but you got to accept the fact it happened. It did. It happened. It hurt. It was painful. I didn't like it. If I can change it, I would, but I can't. It happened. Now it's time to release it. We're going to work on releasing it. Look what I said. I said on page 16, I said, the basement is the place where I became isolated, depressed, and oppressed. Because guess what? I began to store up stuff. What do we do in the basement, right? This is what I wrote on page 17. The basement holds the secrets of families, homes, home life. The basement holds the secrets of your family home life. Families store unwanted treasures, discard unusable items, and forget about old pleasures in the basement. We put everything in the basement. We put it in containers. We put it in boxes. We put it in bags. We put it and say, oh, just store it down in the basement. If you don't have a basement to your house, you might have a closet. You might have a garage. You might have a storage unit outside next to the house or in the backyard or somewhere, but you store it somewhere. You store it in a dark place. You store it in a place where you won't have to see it all the time, right? Some of us got junk drawers. Some of us got drawers that hold junk, just a whole bunch of stuff. We store it because we don't want to deal with it. We don't want to get rid of it, but we don't want to see it and deal with it. Does that not sound like our pain? Does that not sound like your wounds, what you do? Does that not sound like it? You don't have to face it every day. You know it's still there, but I don't have to see it every day. Lies. Get out of it. Time to sort through some stuff, y'all. It's time to sort through some stuff. So families store unwanted treasures, discard unusable items, and forget about old pleasures. When you've been dealing with hurt and disappointment, and when your life has been tormented from penetrating assaults, because that's what it was, penetrating assaults, you create a basement in your mind, your body, and your soul. Oh my gosh. You create a basement in your mind, body, and soul. Yep. So what happens? Then you begin to devalue yourself. You feel like you're not worth it. You feel like, because guess what? Guess what I said? I said you begin to discard those things that are still usable as unusable. Look at that. In the basement, we begin to discard those things that are usable as unusable. So we forget about how talented we are. We forget about how beautiful we are. We forget about how smart we are. We forget about how we have so many giftings. We forget about the usable stuff in our life, and we begin to discard them as unusable. Jesus, right? That's what we do. Because we put those things down in the basement and we forget about those things. We don't use those things. So those things just sit there and sit there. And what happens? They grow mold, they get dusty, they get dirty, they go out of date. They're no longer usable in the sense that way you need them. They rust, depending on whether or not your basement is damp. It might rust, it might mold, depending on what's going on in your basement. You can grow bitter, and then all of a sudden, you try to use something, but it won't come forth the way that you need it to come forth because you bitter, you mad, you angry. So now all the usable stuff that you need to be really using, your kindness, your love, blessing other people, complimenting other people, being present when you're with people, because sometimes you could be physically there but not mentally present, right? You could be there, but you walk around like everything is okay. You got this mask that is hiding all of that stuff. And again, the basement is a form of a mask. The basement is the thing that you use to hide all the stuff that you don't want anybody else to see. Ooh. Kendra said she need a bigger cup of tea for this one. Hey, Jaquan. Hey. Hey, little man. Right? We put a mask on everything that we do. We put a mask on everything that we do. Look what I said. Look at this. When you create a life in the basement of your mind, you become blinded to your own self-worth. When you create a basement in your mind, you become blinded to your own self-worth. You forget about that you have something that the world needs. You forget about it. You forget about that you used to have a love and a passion for something, and now you no longer do. You forget about it. Listen, y'all. Talk back to me, y'all. I want to hear from y'all. Talk back from me. Hey, sweet. Talk back to me. Right? This is stuff. Is it good, y'all? Or y'all bored? Am I boring y'all? Boring y'all? Am I boring you? Let me say it that way. Look at this. A person can never move from the basement if there is no glance of light. If you have no hope, you can never move from the basement. Darkness makes it impossible to see. Darkness makes it almost impossible to trust. Y'all ever did that? It's like a trust exercise. Y'all ever did that where you have somebody, you partner up with somebody, it could be somebody you know or whatever. More than likely it's somebody you know and you're supposed to be trusting them. And the trust exercise is one or two things. One of them is that you can blindfold a person and they can't see, and that person that you're supposed to trust has to lead you around the room. Take you to different places. And you got to trust them that they're not going to allow you to run into anything, hurt yourself, make a fool of yourself or whatever. The other trust exercise is when you have the person that you're supposed to trust and that they stand behind you, and you carelessly let yourself go, and they're supposed to catch you and not let you fall. This is what happened to most of us. Most of us is that we had someone that we trusted in our life. And again, like I said, more than likely it stems back to your childhood somewhere along the line. And guess what? You was trusting them and then they carefully let you, and you were falling back and they let you fall, or they were the cause of your fall. They tripped you up. Woo, right? Hey, John. Right? That's what happened. That's really what happened. So darkness makes it impossible to trust. But when there is a glance of light, the light signifies hope. And if there is hope, then surely there is a way out. Ooh, look at that. You will never come out of the basement if there is no glance of light. Light signifies hope. And if there is no hope, if there is hope, then surely there is a way out. There is a way out of it all. All you got to do is hope. You got to believe that God, listen, you didn't make me or create me to just be here in this thing, in this situation, dealing with this hurt and this pain day in, day out, how they treated me, what they said to me. You didn't create me to live through all of this. You didn't create me to actually relive this thing over and over and over and over and over and over again in my mind. You didn't create me to do that, God. Lies. The basement is a low state in a low place. But we're going down into the basement today. Tonight we're going down in the basement today. I want you all to dig deep. I want you to sort through the stuff. That's what I want you to do. I want you to sort through all the stuff. And I want you to begin to release some stuff. And I want you to begin to accept some stuff. Accepting and releasing. Just because I accept it does not mean that I have to keep it. Y'all heard of regifting? This is the holiday season. This is Christmas season. Y'all heard of regifting. A lot of people are going to regift some things this holiday season. I don't regift. But some people are going to regift, some people regift cards or whatever, I don't approve of it. No, I don't approve of it. So listen, just because I accept some things don't mean that I have to keep it. There are some things that you accept in the mail. You thought it was one thing and then you didn't keep it. So you went ahead and you sent it back. Send it back to the sender. You don't have to keep it. You can accept something right there for the moment and then realize, oh no, this is not what I want. And then you can send it back. You can do that. It's okay. It's perfectly okay. You don't have to, just because you accepted it. At the time you accepted it. Listen, at the time that you dealt with it, at the time that the impact happened, at the time that the hurt and the wound took place in your life, you accepted it right at that point in time. You didn't want it, but you had no choice. So now you can release it. Release it. Bye-bye. Right? Bye-bye. I don't want it anymore. I don't need it anymore. It's not benefiting me. So guess what? When you go down in the basement, you have to begin to sort through all that stuff. Do I still want this? Nope. Do I still need this? Nope. What's in this container? Let me open this container up. Let me see what's going on in here. Oh, this whole container can go in the trash. Don't need it. Some of y'all need to go and I'm figuratively saying this, y'all. Some of y'all really probably do need to clean out your basement or your closets or your storage area or whatever. I was just saying that I need to go ahead through some more stuff because I don't like to keep a lot of. I keep a lot of stuff, but I'll go through it periodically throughout the course of the year. I go through my stuff and I'm like, listen, I don't want this anymore. I don't use this anymore, and I give it away. So some of us haven't done that in years. Some of us have not done that in years. Some of us have not searched ourselves. Some of us have not dug deep. Some of us have not went down in our basement. I'm figuratively speaking, right? According to your life. And you've been just allowing stuff to sit in your basement, sit in the basement of your heart, sit in the basement of your mind. and it's just been sitting there and it has not benefited you at all. And so now it's time for you to go in and sort through some stuff. Release and accept. Accept and release. Right? Because as long as it sits there, as long as you keep putting stuff in the basement, what happens? You begin to discard those things that are still usable as unusable. You got a whole bunch of stuff that is just sitting there that is actually usable. That is actually usable. But it's sitting there, so you discard it as though it's not usable. Okay? We're writing the ending to this story. So I want you to figure out what, all the little series of stories in your life. We're writing the ending to all of those. Whether it's one big story, whether it's a motion picture, or it's, a series, you're in season 1, season 2, or whatever. You're writing the ending to it. It got to come to an end. It has to close out. This is the last and final season. This is the last and final season that you live with this stuff, that you deal with this stuff. Let it go. Let it go. Somebody type up in there and say, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. The basement is a low state in a low place. It's cold and damp, moldy, and has a funny smell. The basement can invoke and provoke a level of fear, uncertainty in its surroundings. How many of us operate in that situation? We're afraid to do this. We're afraid to say that. We're uncertain about this. We're uncertain about that. Let it go. No one likes to go in the basement in the dark. No one likes to stay down in the basement for any length of time. Its place and its location in the house signifies a low state and a low place. When you are in a low place, your basement, you are at an oppressive and depressive state, a place of uncertainty, the place that darkness fills every area of your life. The positive automatically becomes negative, and the negatives automatically grow and multiply, fester into your hopes and your dreams. That's what happens. I'm not going to read all of that, but that's pretty good right there. That's good writing right there. Yeah, that's good writing right there. All right. So we got to move from the basement. We're sorting through the stuff this week. So this week on to next Wednesday, right? I want you to sort through the stuff. I want you to begin to just sort through all the stuff, accepting it and releasing it. I accept it. It happened. I was dumb. I was stupid. I was foolish. I should have never let it go on this long, but that's okay. It's okay. It happened. We acknowledged it. I did it, or I allowed them to do it, or they tricked me into doing it. Right? Whatever the case might be. However the case might be. So what happened? Now it's time for me to release it. I'm sorting through it. I am not going to discard the things that are still usable in my life with the things that are not usable anymore. I'm not going to discard them. I'm going to get up. I'm going to be that person that I desire to be, that person that God has called me to be. I'm going to get up. I am going to, guess what? I am going to start walking in my gift and in my talents. I am going to start loving on me. I am going to start saying that I am fabulous and fearfully and wonderfully made. I am going to start saying, you know what? I always wanted to open up that business. I always wanted to write that book. Always wanted to do that podcast. Always wanted to do this. Always wanted to travel here. Well, you can't do too much traveling right now in this pandemic, in this COVID-19. I'm so tired of Rona. All right. But anyway, whew, all right. Always wanted to travel here. Always wanted to take that risk. Now is the time for you to position yourself, because you're getting rid of all that negative stuff. You're getting rid of all that stuff that has held you down. You're emptying out your basement. You're releasing your basement. Let it go. Let it go. You don't need it anymore. Trash it. I remember one time, it's a while ago, it's a long time ago. I came home, because some of y'all know I used to live in North Carolina, but I came home one time. I don't know, I was cleaning out my mom's refrigerator, and I was like, trash, trash, trash. She was like, wait a minute. My mom said, wait a minute. You throwing everything in the trash. That's what you got to do. That's what you have to do. You have to begin to say trash, trash, trash. That's throwing in the trash. It's not helping you. It's not doing you any good in your life. Just trash it. Right? It's time to release it. So, deliverance and healing can never happen in the basement, because it is created and constructed in the house. It's created and constructed to the house. It's created and constructed to house all the ill and unhealthy and unwanted parts of your life. Deliverance and healing only happens when you go upstairs. Come up higher. You got to come up higher. So listen, y'all. Get out of the basement. Time to get out of the basement. Time to get out of the basement. Guess what the basement does? The basement causes an identity crisis. The basement causes an identity crisis. How does the basement cause you to have an identity crisis? Because it's dark, so you can't see who you really are. The basement will cause you to have an identity crisis. It's dark, you can't see who you are. You don't understand who you are. And you question who you are. The basement will cause you to have an identity crisis because it's dark, so you can't see clearly. So you can't see who you really are. Remember, I told you that you will discard usable things with unusable things in the basement. You just put it down there. It stays there. Hey, Al. How you doing, Al? Right? That's what you do. The basement is not a cool place. It's time to come up out of the basement. Sort through all that stuff. Get rid of all of that. You're not supposed to live in the basement. Now, don't get me wrong, because there are houses that really you can't, it's a finished basement and it's really nice. But guess what happened? Guess what happened, y'all? Before it was finished, before it was really nice, it was nothing there. They had to work to finish that basement, to make it nice, to put it together the way they wanted to put it together, to make it into a man's cave or a woman's cave, or a theater room or whatever, or another bedroom, amen, that someone can live down there, or a sitting area or whatever. They had to work. They had to do construction down in that basement for it to be nice. Before they can make it into a game room or a children's playroom or whatever it needed to be, or whatever they wanted it to be, they had to do the construction. They had to do the work for it to be that nice. And that's the same thing with you. You have to do the work if you want to see the beauty in your life. My God. Right? That's what you have to do. You have to do the work. You have to clean up the basement. You have to sort through all that stuff. That's what you have to do. So when you're in the basement, if you're living in the basement, guess what happens? It causes you to have an identity crisis. Because it's dark. You can't see who you are. You don't understand who you are. You question who you are in the basement. It's a low place. The basement can strip you of your true identity. It can. So, If y'all just chiming in, say hello. Hello, everybody. Hello. 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 If you're just chiming in. Because we're just about finished now. We're actually finished, right, brother? That's step 2. So we're dealing with step 2. Take this first step and walk up out of the basement. Walk up your basement stairs. Excuse me. Take the first step and walk up your basement stairs. Turn the knob and know that God is right there waiting for you at the top of the stairs. Because that's who really going to heal you. That's who really going to heal you. So that's step 2. Step 1 last week, we talked about acknowledging and stop blaming. This week, step 2, we're talking about accepting and releasing. Sorting through all the stuff in the basement. Because we're dealing out of my book, Tears Beneath the Mask, right? And the 3rd chapter of the book is titled The Basement. The basement. And so, listen, we're healing. We 2 steps in. So this week, what did we say? This week, I want you to do the work. I want you to begin to sort through all the stuff. Sort through all the details, accepting and releasing. It happened. I'm so sorry that it happened. I'm so sorry because you're acknowledging it. You said it by name last week. It was that thing. It was that trauma. It was that moment. It was what they did. It was what they said. It was how they acted toward me. It was, how they brought people to respond to me, how they treated me. It was that thing. Right? But then we stop blaming. And then we're not living in the blame of someone else's bondage. Nope, we're not doing that. We're taking our power back. Because when you acknowledge it, you take your power back. Step 2, sorting through the stuff. Okay, I acknowledge that it happened, but it's the details that we oftentimes get caught up in. So what do we do when we have containers and stuff like that? We put that stuff in a basement. We throw this in it. We throw that in it. We throw this. And so it's the things that we got to sort through. Do we keep this? Do we keep that? Do we keep this? Now it's time to actually throw some stuff away. Let some stuff go, right? So that you can move on. So you can do what we said to do on page 21. Take the first step and walk up your basement stairs. Turn the doorknob, and know that God is waiting for you right there at the top of the stairs. Remember, I said you got to have light. If you want to come out of the basement, you got to have some light. And light signifies hope. And if there is hope, then surely there is a way out. If there is a light, surely there is a way out. Right? It is. And what do we talk about? When you create, right, a life in the basement of your mind, you become blinded to your own self-worth. You're worth more than that. You are. You're worth more than that. It's time to clear out the basement. Sort through all that stuff. So this week, we're going to sort through the details. We already did the hard part. Excuse me. For most of us, the hard part was acknowledging it and saying its name, taking back its control, saying its name. Some of us this week, the hard part is going to be the details. That's going to be the hard part. But we're going to get through it. Right? We're going to get through it. Because you got this. You cannot continue on like this. You're worth more than this. So we're healing. 5 steps to healing. All right? 5 steps to healing. So, what y'all think on tonight? Y'all good on tonight? Are y'all good? It's going to happen, y'all. And don't let people discount you. If this is what you need to do, then do it. Don't worry about what other people say. Forget what other people say. Because they going through their own hurt too. Trust me when I tell you they are. The people that talk the most are usually the ones that have the most bondage and baggage. The ones that always, well, why this or why that? I told y'all, when you start asking why wants endings. They don't want answers. Why does. Okay, so if you're interested in getting a book, hit me up, CashApp me. All the information is above or below, however it is on social media, whatever platform you're looking at and engaging with us on. So we thank you. All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed it tonight. We'll be back next Wednesday. I might do a pop-up again just to recap some things real quick. Won't be very long, but I hope you enjoyed everything on tonight. Thank y'all for chiming in and being with us on tonight for step 2 of 5 steps to healing. Writing the ending to the story. Yes, writing the ending to the story. 5 steps to healing. We're on step 2. Next week, we'll be on step 3. Listen, I'm so excited. I am so excited because step 3, we're going to I'm going to have a little guest. I'm going to have, not a little guest, but I'm going to have a guest with us next week. I'm going to have a guest with us next week for step 3. And this is going to be interesting. Listen, tell everybody. You don't want to miss next week. Step 3, you don't want to miss next week. I'm trying to tell y'all, do not miss next week. Do not miss it. I got a guest next week. And, we're going to talk about some things. I don't want to give it away because it's going to be such a surprise. All right. I don't want to give it away. But they're coming on. And I actually was a little afraid to ask them. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be transparent for a moment. I was a little afraid to ask them. I really was, because I didn't know what they were going to say. I didn't know how they were going to respond. And I was like, this might be too much for them. Not sure. We'll see. And I kept hearing in my spirit, ask her. Right. And so I said, well, we preached on Tuesday, no fear, only faith, right? No fear, only faith. That's what we preached on Tuesday. We didn't preach that, but that was part of the Bible study lesson. No fear, only faith. And so I said, okay, I'm going to ask. And I'm going to see what they say. And the only thing they could tell me is no. And they said, oh, sure, I would love to. They was like, oh my gosh. They was just as excited as I was. I was like, okay, great. Awesome. It's like, great. So listen, don't miss next week. Next week, Wednesday, 7:00 p.m. Be here or be square. All right. Meet us next week, Wednesday. And so I'm excited. They're going to be with us. We're going to dive a little deep. We're going to get a little personal. We're going to get more personal next week. So definitely, we're going to be a little bit more transparent next week. So be here next week, Wednesday, 7:00 p.m. Join us. I'm your girl. Amen. Your host, none other than Pastor BJ Connections. And a little of this, a little of that, but always more. God bless y'all. Have an awesome night. Thank y'all for chiming in with us on tonight.